So this is the pound dollar analysis for Monday, the 12th of February. Now, let's have a look at where prices may likely go. So we've seen a pretty strong sell-off here in the pound dollar from all the way up at the 142.66. We've had prices come down post a series of lower highs. We went into a bit of a mini range here somewhat. Decided to develop. We've had a brief move upwards towards a 400 period moving average, likely news related. Based on the this very large candle here, we've had posted a pin bar, had a reversal, back down towards into this little bit of a trading range that we were developing here, posted a lower high. So we've got a high, lower high in alignment with this most recent trend, and we saw the further sell side momentum taking us beneath this 38.35. So we came down towards 37.50. I've previously mentioned in the previous video, but we didn't quite get down there. I think we traded as low as 37.64, was it? Yes, it was 37.65. 64.6, I would say 37.65. So we didn't quite get down to 37.50, 15 pips or so away, from which we did post this pin bar, saw the upside momentum come back into this market. Now, we'll see how prices react around this 38.35. Whether it does hold, it has previously held as supporting around that area. So we'll see whether it does hold resistance on this occasion, after which I would expect prices to head back down towards the 37.50, a break from which I believe the price head down towards that 36.57. If we do maintain the strong sell side momentum, 136 potentially comes into focus, depending on market volatility. Now, I wouldn't anticipate price moving much beyond, say, 136. Now and again, to the upside, if we do break above this 138.35, on a retest, we do hold it. We'll be looking for price head towards that 39.42, break from which we're looking to see our price rack in around that 140.05 level. Now, I wouldn't anticipate prices moving much beyond, say, the 140 level. It is pretty big. It's a pretty sizable trading range for a day. If we did break above the 140.05, we'll see our price reacting around the confluence of the 200 and 400 period moving average, which proved problematic in the past, from which we saw some sell side momentum come back into the market. A successful break of the moving averages, again 41.20, should come into focus, but I wouldn't anticipate prices moving beyond 140.05 here on the 12th of February. Now, let's just have a look at the higher time frames. So we're going to have a look at the monthly, and let's get on here correct. So on the monthly, what we have seen is we've seen a continued recovery in the pound. We formed a bit of a base here, had a move upwards, brief pullback, a move upwards, and another brief pullback. Now, in the month of January, posted a very strong candle, very bullish candle. And as would be expected, there is some retracement, a lot more retracement than I would like, ideally. We've retraced, I think it's great, almost 50%, or possibly about the 50% of the this bullish candle. We've had a degree of bearishness so far in February, so we'll see where we do stop before we see that further upside continuation. But we are in a slight uptrend here on the pound against the dollar. We are seeing a recovery, so we'll see how far this retracement, or whether we do invalidate most of the moves from January. I wouldn't expect it, but could be all Brexit related. So we'll see how price develop. But overall, we are in an uptrend on the monthly time frame. That's the most recent trend. And if we have a look at the weekly, I suppose it's going to be a similar story. So on this weekly time frame, as we can see, we formed a bit of a base, and we've been respecting the 20 period moving average, slightly traded below it on a few occasions, but around the 20 period moving average, we have been finding some dynamic level of support. Now, we've pulled away from the 20 period moving average by quite a bit here more recently in this move upwards, this very strong move upwards. And this move upwards, we have this very large candle in that trend, possibly indicating a change of trend. Had a doji in around the pretty close to the 200 period moving average here on the weekly time frame. So we've had a very strong move, and in that strong move, we've got a very large candle. Well, in the context of the move upwards, which is possibly an exhaustion sign. We've had a doji which didn't make a new high, and we had this very strong bearish candle last week. So again, we might see a little bit of retracement and see further retracement upwards before we see further continuation to the downside, possibly bring us back down to retracement, back down to possibly even the 20 period moving average. The 20-period moving average here on the weekly time frame is currently sitting at the 134.57. It is quite a bit away in the context of this trend, which does appear to be to the upside. It is quite a bit away, but we've had this very strong move upwards, so we might just be coming back down, possibly not all the way down to the 34.57 before we see that further upside continuation for another test of the in around the 200-period moving average, a break from which we'll be looking for prices to head up towards that 145 level. Now, let's just go down to the daily time frame. So if we head over to the daily time frame on the pound dollar and over to the daily time frame, we can see here that we've had this move upwards, had a bit of a consolidative range, move upwards, posted a bit of a triangle here, had a break, pull back, very strong continuation all the way up to that 143.43 level. That was the highs of the move. We've had a sell side momentum, brief pullback down towards this 140.05, had another test up at that level, but we didn't quite get up to that 143.43. Instead, we stalled in around a level that we have stalled previously, in around that 42.66. Bit of a double top here, in around the 42.66. We had it looks like a bit of an M there, double top, and we saw this strong sell side momentum coming to the market. These two candles in particular are very bearish in the fact that they've closed near their lows. We've got a degree of indecisiveness more recently with this candle pushing upwards, likely news related, but this move upwards was pretty much stopped in its tracks by the strong sell side momentum that we saw. So this move upwards, where the bullishness wasn't maintained, what we did see was sell side momentum, and we've seen the follow through. So we might see further sell side momentum bring us down towards our 36.57, from which we could potentially see that bounce, or before we head down towards our 34.57 or 34.29, in around where the 20-period moving average is, before we see that further upside continuation. But overall, and we are in an uptrend, but the most recent trend here, especially on the daily, does appear to be to the downside. Even though it is somewhat kind of trend, the move down to the downside does seem it's fairly strong, but the degrees of these wicks that we are seeing to the upside suggest there is some buying momentum underlying this market. So the retracement may not go very deep here on the pound dollar. And with that said, that pretty much wraps up the pound dollar analysis. Thanks for watching.